Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I am coming to you from Lake Tahoe, and I wish I could get you a scene of the mountain right here, but I can't because of where the sun is. I came up here for a couple different reasons, and one of the reasons was to check out the fire damage, and because we've been watching the story of the fires that have been ravaging this area, and I have some friends that have cabins up here. We are going to check on their stuff. Everything's been opened back up. The highways are back open. Things are starting to get back to normal. Businesses are back open. South Lake Tahoe, where I'm at, right behind Heavenly, is open back up, but people aren't here yet. And I was thinking about the parallels that you could draw from this devastating fire that destroyed so many people's homes. And it brings back a memory of when I was talking to some firemen a long time ago about how they assess these homes when they're actually running, racing from street to street as these fires are just taking home after home, street after street. And what they said was really interesting. And it might sound, I don't want it to sound bad, but there's a lot of parallels you could draw to your own personal finances and the economy and what's happening right now, this economy that's absolutely being demolished. It's just controlled demolition of both the dollar and the world's economies. And what that was, I asked these firemen, you have these marks on the driveway or the mailboxes, and I've seen marks on doors sometimes. And one time I saw a W and an L. And I said, what does that stand for? And they said, well, it's winners or losers. And I said, what do you mean winners or losers? And they said, well, we have to, in an emergency, when there's a fire blowing up, and we're running into the city and that fire's moving fast, and we need to quickly assess what homes we can save and which ones we don't. Firefighters will run out ahead in like a pickup truck or a command vehicle, and they'll mark them a winner or a loser, a W or an L. And I said, wow, that's really interesting. So I started asking more questions. I said, well, what makes a W or an L appear on your house? And they said, oh, it's really easy. You could, within 30 seconds, pull up to a home, and you could see if the homeowner did two things to their home. Did they prepare ahead of time? Like, was their lifestyle the kind where they would neatly keep their house manicured, right? They wouldn't have leaves, in the gutters that could catch on fire, or they wouldn't have, their wood piles for their burning stoves, in the house for heat. They wouldn't have those just piled up alongside of the house where those could catch the house on fire. And they would have their brush all trimmed up around the home. They'd have this defensible space. They said within seconds you can pull up and just see that person has done something, that's how they lived, right? And that usually tells the cleanliness of, sorry, there's gonna be some noise in the background, but their lifestyle and how much they cared about their house, but then it makes their job easier to be able to defend that house and let's say 4 or 5 more down the street. So I think that's a really interesting thing, right? Because they said a long time ago too, they had to stop calling them winners or losers. Hold on, there's noise. You know how it is, like doing stuff out in the public. And they said people would get angry with them when they found out that the term was a winner or loser. And they said, no, why is there an L on my house? Well, it stands for loser. And they said, you should defend my house as we pay you for. And they said, our job is to defend as many homes as we can. And there's only so many of us in an insane emergency, right? And there are people that thought ahead to actually do something about it. Well, think about the economy right now. Right now, many of you that are on this channel know the economy is a complete, utter annihilation. It is imploding. And there is about to be a day of reckoning. And in my opinion, and this isn't financial advice, it's going to happen in the next year to 2 years. And we're talking Great Depression 2.0. I don't want to, mix, this isn't, FUD. I'm not, this isn't fear I'm trying to spread. This is just the facts. This is a 100-year cycle that's coming to fruition right now. And all around you see it happening, right? Well, there are some people that have built a financial arc, let's say, or a stable balance sheet. They have tried to minimize their debt or get totally out of debt. They haven't done any frivolous spending, like going out and buying a Lamborghini when they couldn't afford to pay for it cash or out. And I'm using Lamborghini lightly. I mean, you could use that same analogy for a fully loaded Suburban these days. I mean, gosh, the cars are costing 100 grand and people don't even have the money to buy them. They're out paying payments, right? But then there's people that, you know, haven't gotten those expensive items that they can't afford. They pay cash when they can. They don't go on these crazy vacations, but then they've also done things like they have cash in their savings account that for a rainy day, if something happens. They have solid assets like wealthy people do, where they keep a certain percentage of their money in like precious metals, like physical gold, right? As an insurance bet against a hyperinflationary event or a market panic. They invest, but they invest wisely, right? They don't speculate. And I think it's really important to think about that. And we see these wildfires in California just devastating every year. It's and it sounds funny. I put out a video once saying that these fires, they're usually on average, it sounds like this is a record-breaking year, and they really aren't. If you look at the grand scheme of things, there's always a certain amount of acreage that burns every year. But it seems like we don't learn our lesson, right? And now going back to that firefighter story, I said, well, if somebody prepares really well, and they just kick butt, is it guaranteed that their house isn't going to burn? And the answer I got was this. There are very few times in fire history where fires are so ravaging, so furious, so fast that you could just clear cut your house, have green grass all the way around it, have all this fireproof stuff. But if the conditions are perfect, we're talking wind, temperature, everything, that fire can actually still engulf a home where you would normally say, how did that burn? But it's because it was the perfect storm. And it sounds bad. I don't want to leave you guys on a bad note, because there are times where you could prepare and you're still going to be affected by the storm. But the thing that the firemen said, they said, but that is so rare. That's like the 1%. The 99% of people that prepared ahead of time, that kept a nice house, that kept it up to date and fire ready, their houses survived when everyone's in the neighborhood burned. So that's what I want to leave you guys with. Think about where you are with your budget, your monthly budget, your spending habits. We are literally in a time where the entire world's economy is melting down together. We have never seen this in the history of economics, ever. Okay, we've seen contagion effects. We've never seen the entire world's economies being so tied together that they're imploding at the same time. I hope I left you guys with something. Just be ready. I mean, prepare now. This is so easy to be prepared. And it just takes one thing. A little less of what you want and a little more of what you know you need to do. All right, guys, that being said, I thank you so much for joining me. The Economic Ninja is out.